Well. Or like a tank, or like a water tank, not quite a well. Big changes. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Minecraft, and welcome into the new kelp farm, or what I plan to be the new kelp farm. So I've gone ahead and actually removed both my kelp farm and the bamboo farm from this area and redone it all in the hopes of making a giant kelp farm in this water tank. Well, future water tank. I've decided that I'm going to go purely for a self-sustaining kelp farm that will provide enough to burn the kelp and turn it into the kelp blocks, fuel itself so it continues to do so, and then we get extra leftover kelp blocks as a result that can be used for smelting down cobblestone into stone for these mountains. So, down here, I removed all of the stuff that I had. Oh, there's a bat. Hey, buddy. That probably means that it's quite dark down here. I removed all of the stuff that I had built over the last couple of episodes down here, but I think it will be worth it in the end. So, now, all of this is no longer functioning. I do have a decent amount here to get us started, and a little bit here. But we need to see whether or not... Where are you? We need to see whether or not I can turn all of that into a functional farm. Now, if I pop up here, I've got a bit of a chest monster going. I was collecting some of the materials. We've got a little bit of spare stuff. But in... not that one. Maybe this one, or partly this one. Ah, this one here. I have the stuff left over, plus I can actually take some of this to make myself a flying machine that goes down here. And I'm going to see if I can hook it up so that it works underwater. And if my calculations are correct, we should have about 1,200 blocks or spaces of kelp planted. So if I remove a little bit from the end to make room for my flying machines, I would say maybe 1,150. I think that much growing at once is probably going to do the trick. So I should sleep. We should see if I can work this out. Also, we are getting really close to 1,000 days. It's going to happen within this episode. Kind of exciting. Oh, I really don't want to go down there. Now, from my understanding, these flying machines should work underwater because they don't actually have any redstone dust. It just requires observers, sticky pistons, probably some of this stuff, and some slime. A little bit of glass too. Now my thinking is, hold on. My thinking is that I should be able to almost bury it slightly in one wall and have it go into an area on the other side in a way that that keeps it all available and maybe accessible from the back in a little storage or open area. And then all of in here can be flooded with water up to a decent height because we're going to have a little bit of space at the top to have it all flow into some collection. But once that's done, we should be able to get a really good amount of kelp. Now, I think what I'm going to do is actually... do I have any more? Yes. I think instead of being this wide, I actually want to make it only however wide it is between these two. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And then, if I remember correctly, hold on, let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 78, 79, 80. Yeah, 80 long. So 80 times 15, if I remember correctly, should be 1,200. If I can work out a way to have the flying machine almost slot into the wall and into the wall, that would be 1,200 squares. Nice. So I would then have the water from the top flow over the sides, and down here I would have water flowing so that the items all move across and down into a collection area, or more importantly, pretty much straight into those smokers, and start the loop of turning it into dried kelp and then kelp blocks, and rinse and repeat. I think something this size, especially with so many spaces to grow up, should provide a really good amount and allow us to hopefully self-sustain it and create excess. So I'm going to see if I can get the flying machines set up in here, maybe get some walls done. And then we have to flood it with water, plant 1,200-ish pieces of kelp on the floor, and cross your fingers. Then, in this episode, we should be able to set ourselves up with a super smelter, a cobblestone generator, and I'm hoping by the end of this episode, we are generating stone. Lots and lots of stone. All right, let me see if I can make something happen here. Yeah. So, there is a little bit of loss in that even though I've done my best to get both sides of this running, there is a very small spot in the middle where the two lines overlap that these guys are getting stuck a little bit. It's not a significant amount, but it is something. Even still, we have a farm. Now, in the process of setting this up, I've also done a couple of things. One is very temporary right now. The placement is not that great, but let's jump down below and see what I've made. So, all of these are running. And by the looks of things, we are getting some extra kelp. Cool. Those are where it was emptied out to, and this is how much has gone in. So it obviously doesn't get these last two very much, but we'll see how it goes. And I've been building up a supply of dried kelp blocks that will slowly be fed back into this. That's the next part of the mechanism that I need to do. I need to redo this so that these items that are crafted come back around and first fill up the fuel slots of these before going into storage, or furthermore, going into our eventual super smelter. We'll get there, don't you worry. Here I have a manual override that will make the machine go and collect kelp, but up behind here, I have made myself a little, I think they're called a monostable something. But basically what happens is when the daylight hits, it activates the daylight sensor, and it will send a pulse through this system here into that, but only for a very short amount of time before the piston extends. Monostable circuit, I think, is that the word? Redstoners might know. But basically, before the piston has time to extend, there is a short period of time where that power is transferred through the block, and this little repeater and comparator setup here just extends that pulse for a second so that it activates this block. As you can see, my button goes to that block, and so does this. And that block just pops over into here and activates a piston to send this machine on its way. Now, we've got a little bit of growth going already, and my idea is anytime that I sleep over in my bed over here, the second that it activates daytime, the second the day hits, all of a sudden, it will send that machine off to do its thing. And even if I spend the night doing bits and pieces, the same thing will happen where it will turn off. It shouldn't provide any power when it turns off. It's only when it turns on. And that means that even if I'm working on a build underground or working on mountain and whatnot through the night, once it hits morning, it will provide a pulse and send the machine on its way. That should hopefully keep it only happening while I'm in the loaded chunks, like while we are here. And it's not going to be running when I'm not here, unless I so happen to quickly run into the nether while it was doing its thing. But it should be that each morning this runs, collects a decent amount, and refuels. That's the plan anyway. Now, it is day 999. we are about to hit our 1000th day in this world. And it feels pretty cool. It feels pretty cool to be at that point. And it feels nice to have gotten this done just before that, because I'll be able to show you guys how it works on the 1000th day. Now, for now, I have a little bit of access down into here. You can see that I've just done a very simple falling waterfall from one end to the other, and that takes it down. And let's just go into a bit of free cam to show you how the whole circuit ties together. Let me get to a safe spot. Okay, so we have our farm here. It does have this problem, which I can't really fix. The water seems to be falling, and I could probably do something slightly different, but for now, it's not causing any issues. It's just a constantly ticking piston, and it still works. When all of this is broken, it sends it up to the top and down to the sides here, where this cascading little section brings it all down to the end, and both of those meet up at this point and come across the top of my hoppers. Those hoppers there take all of the kelp as it comes through. It seems to be able to pick it all up, but I would like to maybe try only running 3 and see if that's a little bit more sustainable. And then of course that goes through, and I currently have it set up. It is generating dried kelp blocks automatically using this crafter. As I said before, the idea is that I replace this chest with a loop that loops through and feeds the fuel line of these smokers, which is this line back here. And then once it has gone through and fed those, then the excess is fed into a chest or a storage, and that is what I can use to grab my materials for the super smelter, which will probably dig down into here, I would say. That would be the best place for me to put it, I think. Or maybe we send it up top. Either way, it should work that I'm able to provide enough fuel to smelt the items that come in and come away with an excess. That's the plan. Because each one of these blocks is going to smelt 20 kelp, which is enough to make 2 blocks and a little bit left over. So the idea is, as long as I can provide it with enough kelp, it will provide an excess of the dried kelp blocks. And also, unlike bamboo, which only sort of smelts one at a time, I think we may lose a couple, but it should cook up everything that's left and stop. I don't even know if that makes sense, that sentence, but the main purpose is I do have the kelp hooked up to this, and it's nearly time to sleep and start my 1000th day. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly sleep here, and then we're going to fly across and see if we can catch it working. If I go into free cam again, we should be able to see that it is not currently running. So a quick sleep, hit 1000 days, and get rid of you, and goodbye. Yep, there it goes. So I don't know whether you can see that very well, but there is a machine down there moving across, and here we go. All of this kelp gets farmed, pushed down to the sides, and goes down into my system. Yeah, it's a decent amount, even though some of them only grow 1 or 2 blocks. The reality is every 20 minutes or so, I estimate I should probably get about 1,500 up to somewhere like 3,000, because I have 1,200 blocks of it growing. And if even every one made 1, which is very likely, we should get a decent amount. So if I pop down here now, we can see it running across. There we go. It is filling up these hoppers nice and quick, filling up those things nice and quick. And I think it might be... So that last hopper doesn't really, but this one does. 4 might be enough. Okay. Good little test, but I will test it out a little bit more as I continue. That's fine. And day 1000. That's really satisfying. Really, really satisfying. I'm going to take a screenshot of that. So, with 1,000 days under our belt and a couple of mega projects started, I'm going to continue to work on what I need to get all of the stone for this project. We've got our nether perimeter project underway and a good idea of how that works. I think what's next is to organize and set up a cobblestone generator and a super smelter and see if I can get them all running together so that the kelp from this gets turned into the fuel for a super smelter, and the cobblestone generator provides the cobblestone, to be burned into stone, and maybe like a shulker box loader that stacks it all up, ready for me to use. Cool, that one's full. That one nearly filled up. That one definitely grabbed a couple of extra, and it looks like maybe this one too. Ah, wonderful. So now that is full. This one's not quite, but I reckon that one would probably fill up. I'll keep an eye on it over the next few days, in-game days, while I'm working on some stuff, and we'll see whether or not it gets into this 5th barrel. I'm going to try and hook up the dried kelp blocks to this nice and quick, so that it starts providing and supplying an extra supply of it in some storage, and then I'll have plenty to kickstart my super smelter when we get there. So, because I want to achieve so much in this episode, I'm moving on to my next project. I will see what I can get done, and then we'll pop back in when I have some more to show you. Let's get it done. Alright, 8 in-game days later isn't too bad, but I have managed to work out a few things. So, for starters, let me just double check that this is working. Excuse me? Why is that? You're meant to take off in the morning. Huh. I'll have to, see what's going on. Maybe I should add a delay? No, that can't be right. Oh, that worked. Gonna have to keep an eye on that. That's fine though. So, if we jump down here, I now have 7 of these running, and I have streamlined this significantly. So now I have this little setup here, which I'm actually quite proud of. I managed to work this out by myself, but this little setup here that crafts the dried kelp, places it into a dropper elevator, which feeds it up into this top line. That top line feeds the dried kelp in these hoppers, like so. And once those are completely full, that will add one in a second, I'm sure. Let's just wait and see. And maybe it's doing some funny things. Or maybe it's just filling stuff up. 64, 64. Yeah. There we go. Okay. So once those are filled up, all of the remaining stuff goes into this top barrel. And I finally have that completely hooked up and have started where I'm going to be taking the water and the pieces that come out of it. It's locked right now just so that I didn't start spewing a bunch of dried kelp blocks out into a place where they would despawn. But I'm actually really proud of this. It's quite compact. Now, if we look up here, I have a circle of water streams that allows those to run around and around so that it fills this up as efficiently as possible. Now, this first one here does not match up with that stream, so it gets the initial burst of stuff, but it's enough to start filling that up pretty decently. And then all of these seem to be quite full. So I could probably add more. I don't want to have to replace this and rebuild it right now. So down the line, it looks like I might even be able to have 8 or even 9 running and creating fuel with the efficiency of this farm. But for now, this is enough to get me going. From there, this water stream is going to run underneath the outside here and pop up somewhere over this area, because that will come up somewhere around the center of this farm where I have begun the process of making myself a super smelter. This is going to be a 64 smelter array, and I'm going to do my best to provide it with fuel and provide it with the items in a nice even fashion so that everything is loaded and cooking at a similar time, and then we have offload stations and all of that stuff. But unfortunately, I'm not quite ready to fire this up, and I want to make sure that when I build my cobblestone generator, when I build my cobblestone generator, that it ties into it nicely. Let's just have a look at this. Did I manage to glitch? Huh. You know what? Oh, it might ruin that up there. Otherwise, I would leave that. But that's fine. Nice. So, I obviously have a couple of little things that I need to kind of troubleshoot, work out why that's not working perfectly. It worked for the first few. I don't know why it didn't just then. And I also want to get myself set up with a cobblestone generator. But like I've said before, we are not using TNT duping in this world. And as such, we're going to need a decent little supply of TNT. I don't exactly know how much I'm going to be able to generate with each piece of TNT, and we'll try and work that out nicely. Hello? I'll take that. But if we have a look at my supplies, yeah, I don't even have a stack. So I've actually got some AFKing that I need to do before I'm ready to try this out. I need to AFK this farm, generate a bunch more gunpowder, and then I'm probably going to have to go mine a bunch of sand as well. I have a little bit of grinding to do before this becomes a reality. So, unfortunately, rather than achieving what I wanted to in this episode, we're going to be a little bit behind. Or more to the point, I'm just not quite going to make it there. If we dug across into the storage room over here, I do... I really don't have much. Okay. I don't have much sand left. So, oh boy. Yeah, I've got some work to do. And I really don't have many shulker boxes either. Oh boy. Kind of reached a point where I've almost locked myself out a little bit with lack of materials. Now this is fine. This is going to continue to produce a bunch of stuff, and in fact, it's not a bad idea to let this run while I sort out some other bits and pieces and build stuff so that we have a nice supply to preload the super smelter with. That would be nice to get started. But for now, it's just going to have to run by itself, and I'm going to have to probably do some grinding and change course a little bit. If I want to be able to load up the stone that we make and put it into shulker boxes, I'm probably going to have to go increase my supply of shulker shells. And I really don't think I have any. I think I might have one, actually. Yeah, one. So we might have to do a couple of things before this is truly up and running. It's been a bit of a grindy episode to make this farm. Plus, I spent a lot of time trying to work out how to make that down there nice and efficiently and how I wanted it. So, unfortunately, this episode might just be a short one. I want to get you guys out something to watch, and it feels like a good break point to move forward from, sort out a couple of things in another episode, and then come back to it when we're ready and have the materials. We have a giant kelp farm that seems to be more than enough for what I need, and I can probably expand what I have down below to make it a little bit more efficient and provide us with plenty of fuel. Even if it's not super fast, it seems like, from what I can tell, yep, that's more full than it was before, it seems like it provides enough kelp to continue to run permanently. So as long as I have storage and as long as I have it going to places, we should be good. So at least I achieved that much, and we have successfully fixed our kelp problem, our fuel problem. We've just stumbled across a couple extra problems. So with that, I think we're going to leave the episode here, and I'm going to get to work on the next one. Hopefully we can get some stuff sorted, some shulkers, some more sand, some more gunpowder for the TNT and all of that stuff, and then we'll be able to get there soon enough. I really want to get to building those mountains. Oh, hello. I really want to start. I do have some stone here that I could get started with, so we might do a little bit of outlining or maybe add some to the cliff. But I think getting this super smelter up and running is going to allow me to really dig into it properly once it's ready. So I'm going to say thank you very much for watching. Thank you to my Patreon supporters for your continued support. You folks are amazing. It genuinely means so much that you're willing to support me over there and help me do this full time. And to those who've been watching the series, I hope you're having a bunch of fun. And I hope you're looking forward to, eventually, me getting back to working on those mountains. But it is fun to just have you along for the ride while I build some farms and work out what I'm doing in this world. So, until the next episode, I hope you all take care of yourselves, and I'll see you then. Bye-bye, everyone. Whoop!